Hello there and welcome back once again to The Verdict. I'm Mick Cornett along with Kent Myers. We're here every week meeting interesting people and dealing with issues that are pertinent to Oklahomans.
Indeed. By the way, glad to have you back.
Good to be back.
Thank you. You missed our 16th anniversary show, but we did it anyway.
Hope you blew out the candles for me.
Well, yeah, I did. All 16 of them. Yeah, we're really pleased today to welcome back Jari Askins to the show. She has been on the show a number of times in a number of different capacities, but never in the capacity she serves in
every
now.
time she gets a new job, we have a new guest.
She does. She is really, her background is really interesting in this respect, that she's one of the very few people that either of us know that has significant experience in all three branches of state government, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. And we're going to talk about her role today, about her role as administrator of the Office of the Courts.
She's had that position about a year and a half. We'll get to it. Jari Askins, today's guest on The Verdict when we return.
I went to college at the University of San Diego. I went to medical school at Yale School of Medicine. I did my internship at Harvard and then my residency at Columbia in New York City. My name is Whitney Tolpenrud. I'm a dermatologist and I am Chickasaw. I always knew that somehow I would figure out a way to give back to my tribe, to say thank you. So I've been coming to the hospital now for about a year. I come for 2 days consecutively every other month. I can't describe to you the level of satisfaction and humility that it's been able to provide to my life. And that is just so energizing and reminds me why I went into this to begin with.
See more stories about the Chickasaw people at profilesofanation.com.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett and Kent Myers. Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
As we talked about in the opening segment, we're really pleased to welcome back to the set of The Verdict Jari Askins. Jari has been on our show. I have lost track of the number of times, but never enough to suit Mick and me. We're really pleased she'd come back to see us. She did her undergraduate work at the University of Oklahoma and her law work there as well. She has served in various capacities. She served as a special judge. She has served as Pardon and Parole Board, where she chaired that board for a while. She served in the House of Representatives for 12 years and as head, at the end of her service, as head of the Democratic caucus in that body. She was elected Lieutenant Governor of the state of Oklahoma and served in that capacity. And she has been named to the Oklahoma Women's Hall of Fame, as Mick indicated in the opening, in October of 2015. She was named Administrator of the Office of the Courts of Oklahoma, and we're going to find out about what she's doing in that regard. Jari, welcome back.
Thanks. It's good to be back. Good to see you guys.
Well, a belated congratulations on your new position.
Thanks. It's been good.
Tell me a little bit about the history of the position. Why do we need this particular spot?
You know, the court's job is to adjudicate, to judge, whether it's at the trial court level with your district and associate district judges and the special judges, or whether it's to review cases and rulings in the appellate court level with the Court of Civil Appeals and the Supreme Court. But the court is not in a position to do its own business functions. And so I like to tell people that the AOC, the Administrative Office of the Courts, is really the business side of managing the court system in Oklahoma at both the trial court level and the appellate level.
How many people work inside that court system?
I'd really try to divide it up a little bit. The AOC side is really just about 15 to 17 people that we have on payroll, and I would tell you 6 to 7 of them are all finance personnel to pay the salaries and expenses of the courts throughout the state of Oklahoma. The bulk of the number of employees, which right now is only about 60 to 62, is our MIS, our Management Information Systems, our IT side. Their functions are really to help us develop the necessary IT programs that we think can help move the courts into a better operational system and collect data, but we're not there yet, and so that is still a functioning, a growing part of our duties.
Let me ask you, where is your office?
You know, my office now is in the new Oklahoma Judicial Center, which I say is immediately to the south and east of the Capitol. As Mick was reminding me a minute ago, it's the old History Center before the new one was built in the late 90s, early 2000s.
And the Supreme Court's housed there as well?
Yes, the third floor is the Court of Criminal Appeals, the court of last resort for criminal matters. The second floor is the Supreme Court, and the first floor is the administrative office of the courts. The ground level houses some of our MIS, but it mostly houses the appellate court clerk's office.
I know generally how the Oklahoma County court system is set up. I assume Tulsa County is similar. Are all 77 counties set up with a very similar structure, or do more sparsely populated counties have a different structure?
It's a little bit different. 75 counties pretty much operate in conjunction with the elected court clerk's office. Oklahoma and Tulsa County are large enough that they each have a trial court administrator that assists the presiding judge in that district with monitoring court reporters, secretary bailiffs, how to move people around if judges need to be reassigned to another docket or perhaps to another county. The trial court administrator in those counties help with that function.
Now, let's kind of take another step back and review something that we haven't talked about in an awfully long time. But every county in the state of Oklahoma has an associate district judge.
Correct, by Constitution.
By Constitution. And what generally are I'm going to ask you in a minute about contrast the duties of the district judge, but what are the duties of the associate district judge in each county?
It truly can vary county to county, but if you take those counties in which the associate judge is the only judge in that county, they have neither a district judge there full-time, nor do they have a special judge. The associate district judge would be handling any of the probate estate matters. They would be handling all of the family law matters, everything prior to trial in a criminal case. The initial appearance, the setting of bond, the determining of indigency, if there is to be an attorney appointed. They would be handling the mental health cases as well as any of the juvenile cases. Usually then when the civil cases come in, a lot of times the district judge and associate will split them. But until then, usually everything up to trial, the associate district judge is busy with.
And the associate district judge is an elective position.
It is an elective position, and that's an important distinction because special judges are not. And so the elected judge, the associate judge, and the district judge really have no limits on their jurisdiction. They can handle any kind of case, any amount of money.
Now, in some counties, they don't have their full-time district judge assigned to them. They share that district judge with other counties. Is that correct?
That's correct. And on the western side of the state, a district judge may be the administrator, per se, of 4 to 5 counties. District attorneys know what that's like over in the western side of the state. So a district judge there may only be in one county 1 day a week, trying to either to do felony pleas, because if the associate judge did the preliminary hearing, they really are not supposed to be the one taking the plea of guilty or not guilty and doing the sentencing unless the parties all agree to it.
But all of the judges we've talked about so far are under the superintending jurisdiction of the Oklahoma Supreme Court.
Yes, all of the district courts are under kind of like a superintendent in a public school system. That's what the Supreme Court's authority is, and in fact sometimes that's very confusing to legislators or even to outside groups that are coming in and looking at our judicial system, is really to understand that the Oklahoma Supreme Court is the one that helps make the determinations about secretary bailiffs, about court reporters, about working with the district judge and the court clerk on setting the next year's budget. And so they do have the authority to make those decisions.
All judges that we've talked about so far are elected except for the special judges. And how are they selected?
You know, special judges, and that's the position where I started my public service a few years ago, and they are appointed by the district judges of that judicial district. Usually it is based upon, they're in statute, so you really have to get legislative authority, and a lot of that's because of the budget, the increase that not just their salary, but making sure they have appropriate staff. But the appointed special judges can have different jurisdictional. I did all the small claims. I did all of the criminal matters up to trial. I did traffic. I did a lot of things that there aren't attorneys for. Yeah. And so you get to know the public in your area very well. But their jurisdiction has some limits to it, both monetarily and then with the criminal cases. Again, parties can waive that jurisdiction, but it doesn't happen very often.
Is our setup similar to what other states have, or is our system unique to the country?
I think the terms for our judges are unique. Some of them are similar to what some other states used to have. Prior to judicial reform in Oklahoma, we had a county judge, which translates into what the associate district judge is now. And there were circuit judges. I wasn't involved with the court system then, but as it implies, they served more than one county, which is just like our district judges do now. In some areas, they still have justice of the peace, which could coincide a little bit with our special judges, but our specials have more authority than the justice JPs did.
Our guest is Jari Askins. She has a relatively new position with the administrative officer of the courts. We're going to learn more about Oklahoma's court system when we return on The Verdict.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett and Kent Myers with our guest Jari Askins, who's the administrative of the court of the state of Oklahoma. Tell us about the major issues that you feel are facing Oklahoma's court system today.
Right now, I would say much like every other branch of government, we are still having funding issues. And it's kind of a vicious cycle as far as we're concerned. The Supreme Court budget and the district court budget are allocated separately by the state of Oklahoma, by the legislature. And those monies, the general revenue money that comes to the court has been decreasing over years as other legislative and executive branches have suffered as well. The district court budget is mostly supplemented by the costs and fines that are collected in district courts. Whether they are civil cases, there are fees that are filing costs, there are fees for when you file different pleadings, different motions, having people served, those are collected. Same thing with the criminal cases, there are a lot of costs and outside fees, outside the judicial system, but are often public safety fines and costs that are collected. The district courts, the last average probably over the last 3 or 4 years, the district courts have received about somewhere between $45 and $50 million in costs, but we collect 56 to 60 million for other agencies outside the courts. And because there are more dollars assessed, we're actually seeing a less percentage collected, because in the criminal side, people have pretty much tapped out about what we're going to collect for them. So for the district courts, our payroll is about $64 million, but we only get about 12 to 13 million from the state and general revenue. So we tend to be short right now. The Supreme Court, it's mostly collected through general revenue, and so we really have to work with the budget, with the legislature on our budget. They don't. Sometimes we don't understand as a state that our court reporters and secretary bailiffs, which are essential to making the court system function timely and efficiently, they're very low paid. They have not received pay raises in a significant amount of time. Much like teachers, our court reporters could cross the border either direction and get paid more, and we are the only state in the country where we require the court reporter to be responsible for his or her own equipment. Every other state, the judicial branch covers that cost. So it's hard.
There's a general perception that the court system is backed up, too many cases, not enough people to deal with them. Is that accurate?
You know, if you talk to our judges, they would tell you that that they're probably managing the same caseloads about the same time frame, except perhaps in Oklahoma County and Tulsa County, where the criminal case filings are still extremely high. And so the ability to get cases to trial does become difficult if we don't have sufficient court reporters, if we don't have, there's so many hearings that mandate a court reporter that it's very difficult to make sure we keep those fully staffed.
There is a general term, criminal justice reform. Does that affect what you do?
Terribly. And in fact, I have bills that are in the legislature this deadline week that are not mine, but that I'm having to monitor, because some of them have requirements in there that we can't meet. We just cannot meet them, cannot do what they are going to require us to do. So I'm having to work with the legislature. I was on this last task force this last fall, and know that we told them we can't do that in Oklahoma. We don't have the funds to do that. Our MIS system has not been developed to the point to allow us to do some of the things, data collection, that are being requested. So as part of that criminal justice reform, we have efforts in there to ask the courts to forgive, suspend, waive much more of the fees and assessments. And I use those terms specifically, but the fees and assessment that are attached to a criminal case. And when that happens, we're already behind the mark in being able to fully fund the courts. This is just going to make us more so, with no ability in the current budget climate to supplement that and restore the courts to their full funding.
I know this because of my efforts to get in touch with you a couple of weeks ago. I guess when the legislature's in session, you spend an awful lot of time across the street from your office in the state capitol.
I really do, and I truly think that's one of the reasons that I was offered the position, is that the legislature has so many more new people than when I left 12 years ago. It's hard to believe for me that I've been gone 10 years really from from the legislature, but the ability to know how the legislature works, the ability to understand these funding problems, because when I was chair of the budget committee, we did have a revenue failure, so I understand the difficult choices that the legislature makes, but it's very hard to keep track of all the legislation from my office. And so being able to be available for legislators to talk to me and ask me how they might be more successful in moving their own piece of legislation, I think is a benefit to the court for me to be on site.
Who's your boss?
Oh, great question. I would tell you I have 9 of them, because the Supreme Court as a body hired me, and they are my bosses. So clearly the Chief Justice is the, as they say, first among equals. So currently it's Justice Combs, so he's the one I deal with most directly, especially about keeping track of budget issues. But we have an opportunity. I present in front of the 9 as a whole, usually to present to them our proposed budget for us in an upcoming year. I have an opportunity to meet with groups of our district judges, or that are kind of the leaders of the district judges, called presiding judges, and we have other judicial groups that have representation from all levels of the judiciary, and I have an opportunity to meet with them. But I answer to the Supreme Court.
Jari, we hear a lot, and we've talked about it on this show a good bit, about the independence of the judiciary. Tell our viewers what is your understanding of that phrase, and how important is it?
I think a lot of us at our age, unless we have been continuously involved in different kinds of public service, we tend to forget that the 3 branches of government, the judicial, the executive, and the legislative, were created as a checks and balance for each other. And the old civics or history classes that we would have had in elementary school, the legislative branch makes the law, the executive branch implements the law, and the judicial branch interprets the law. So the 2 elected areas, the executive and legislative, respond to their constituents and what they believe the needs and wants of their voting constituency is important to help the state of Oklahoma to run well. The judicial branch, I'm going to borrow a phrase that I know Justice Taylor, who recently retired, has used. The constituency of the judicial branch is the law. The judges respond to not just Oklahoma law and the Oklahoma Constitution, but also the U.S. Constitution. And so they have a much different perspective on how to interpret the law than the people in my neighborhood that I used to go knock doors with. And so it's a checks and balance to make sure everything runs equally.
Well, I see from time to time some efforts in the legislature to deal with the independence of the judiciary and to put some constraints without starting any fights, particularly in a budget year when you don't need enemies, you need friends.
Right.
Are we able to does Oklahoma have an independent judiciary, and are we going to be able to keep it?
Yes, we have one, and yes, I hope we are able to keep it. There has been a lot of information shared over the last couple of years about attempts to change the way that our appellate judges, or even vacancies in our district judges or associate district judges, are filled. Right now, vacancies are filled by appointment of the governor, and she gets those names to choose from, 3 for each position, from a judicial nominating commission made up of 15 members, 9 lay people and 6 that are attorneys elected by small geographic units in the state. And we really believe that that helps keep partisan politics of either side out of the selection process.
And nobody's against that. Jari, thank you very much coming on today. The administrator of Oklahoma's court system, Jari Askins. Great to have you back on the show.
Thanks.
Yeah, good to see you.
Kent and I'll have a final word when we get back.
There are now 11 million of us who live here and work here. I was 15 when I came here 6 years ago. I raised my family here. I drive my truck to my job every day. The only difference between now and 6 years ago, I do it legally. I wanted to. Because this is my home.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
You have children coming from a different lifestyle, different mindset. You have to open your arms and really do what you have to do to have that child become a part of your family. And if it's more patience, that's what you do. Kids got to know they can trust you. And that's what we try to do with these kids.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett and Kent Myers wrapping up the show with Jari Askins, who is the administrator of the Oklahoma courts.
Really proud to have her back with us again. Don't see her often enough, but every time she comes, she does a grand job of explaining what she's doing, and she's doing a lot.
She has a website where you can get more information about her role as the administrator of Oklahoma's courts. It's oscn.net. That's oscn.net. And we have a website. We'd love for you to go to theverdict.tv and tell us about a guest you'd like to see on a future show or a topic you'd like to see us discuss. That's going to do it for this week's show. For Kent Myers, I'm Mick Cornett. We'll see you next week on The Verdict.